Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're talking 2021 fall-off players. We've each picked three guys that we think are going to fall off from what they finished in 2020 in 2021. It could be, a variety of reasons. Maybe they have more competition. Maybe we just think it was a fluke. Who knows? I don't know what Jeff's list is. He doesn't know what mine is. He might have a clue. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll find out. We're going to now start it off, Jeff. Number 3 on your list of fall-off players.
Number 3 from me is going to be a big-time player, and he had a great season last year, and that is Mike Evans. He's going to be on Tampa Bay, and there's going to be Tom Brady coming back. I know people will freak out about this because, Tom Brady, he's great. He's great, blah, blah, blah. And Mike Evans has done it the past few seasons, right? I mean,
people are not going to be happy with you.
6th, 8th. I get it. But, hey, you have Godwin back. Yeah. Antonio Brown looks like he'll be back in Tampa Bay. Right?
Most likely.
You have all these weapons.
Yep.
Godwin was, and Gronk was coming.
Scotty Miller gets some catches.
Right. And Gronk was really coming on at the end of the year.
I think Tyler Johnson's going to come on.
There is, I really like Tyler Johnson. I wish that there was a spot for him to.
O.J. Howard's coming back.
They have a million weapons. I mean, very good point. A million weapons. And he's a terrific wide receiver, but he also went bonkers as far as touchdowns, right? I mean, he can do it again, but he caught 13 last year. I do not think it's going to be like that. He caught 70 balls for 1,000 yards. This guy has gone all the way up to 1,500 yards, but it was when he was kind of the only show in town, right? And that was a few years ago. He still got 109 targets. I don't think he's going to get more than that by any stretch of the imagination with the type of weapons they have, unless the injury bug hits him again. So last year, he was ranked 8th. I think he's going to be out of the top 10 this year. I don't think it's going to be maybe like fall from grace, but I would not be drafting him like he's that surefire thing this year. I have a bad feeling about it, and everything is kind of stacking up against him, even if he's playing very well as he has for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. So Mike Evans is going to be my number 3.
He was my number 3 too.
Jesus, man, we're good at this.
It just makes sense to me. And that's why I thought this is the one where people are going to be like, "Oh, geez, what are you talking about?" Mike Evans,
especially when Godwin came back.
And I'm not even saying he's not going to be a bad player. It's just I think the offense it's not going to be centered around Mike Evans. And like we said, how many other weapons are there going to be? Godwin missed 4 games last year. That probably helped boost Evans. But Godwin, Gronk, Antonio Brown was only there for 8 games, right? And he didn't come on really and do much in those. I think if he's there again, it's going to be a different story. O.J. Howard, like I said, he only played 4 games. I really do think Tyler Johnson's a good receiver, and they're going to use him a little bit. Scotty Miller. He actually had 53 targets, though, last year. He's involved. And I don't know, maybe they'll still have Cameron Brate. He catches the ball sometimes, too.
He does.
I'm not saying Mike Evans is bad. He's not bad at all. And this isn't anything. Tampa's just going to be a good team. And they kind of showed, I think, in the playoffs and Super Bowl, they don't really need to just air the ball out all the time. They can do it in a variety of ways and run the ball and throw it. They don't have to go crazy with it, and they're going to win games with their defense and controlling the game. And just because of that, I don't think Mike Evans ends the year as a top 10 wide receiver like he was last year. It doesn't mean he's a bad player.
No.
I just think he falls down a little bit, and most likely I don't think he's a great value then because he's still about top 10. I just don't think the value is – I don't love it. I would say I don't love his value because of that. And yeah, so I'm probably going to avoid Mike Evans. And again, this is why this list is just fall off players. It's not saying I don't dislike these players. Well, maybe some, but I don't dislike Mike Evans.
Yeah. And Mike Evans right now is ranked as the 10th best wide receiver. And once again, take it with a grain of salt because that ranges anywhere from 5th to 19th.
Yep.
19th is maybe, that's probably at the lower end of the spectrum, but I could see in a lot of drafts he's going to go as, the top, like the 7th, 6th.
And if he does, I don't want Mike Evans as my number 1 receiver.
I don't either.
I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that. All right, there we go. Number 3, same one as last week's episode. We each had the same number 3. So
yep. So
there we go.
Yeah, of course.
We really don't plan this. So.
I know. Maybe we should start playing. I guarantee we're gonna have the same number 1. Okay. So Mike Evans. Oh, and so my number 2 is gonna be is going to be Drake. So this one is obviously a lot more to do with what happened in the offseason. We already kind of knew that he wasn't long for the primary back role. He goes to Las Vegas, the Raiders, where he is going to be the number 2. I do think he'll get work, but it feels like, hey, it was the experiment. We tried to get him a ton of carries, and it just didn't work out as much as we thought it would. And on top of that, he had 10 touchdowns. So
I could have told him it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, well, anyone. Well, I don't want to say anyone could have, because he when he gets the ball, there are moments where you're like, wow, he looks special. Yeah. And then there's moments where I'm like, is he a running back? Like,
yeah, he never did it over a long stretch of time.
No, not at all. So he's going to be my number 2. And
he finished last year as number 12, I believe, right? I think he was up there quite a bit.
Yes, once again, it feels skewed because of all the injuries that occurred.
But he was just right there with Zeke.
He had a good year, right? He was just below 1,000 yards, so 955 with 10 touchdowns. But they gave him 239 rushes. That is so much more than they have been before, and he's not going to get that backing up Jacobs. I mean, I think he's going to go back to the, 130, 140 carries, something of that nature. And 10 touchdowns is the most he's ever had in his career as well. I'm not saying he can't be a productive guy. I think he still could, but because of the name recognition, he's still far too valued in all the rankings at the moment. He's probably going to go down because everything, kind of shuffling out. But right now, he is a guy that I think is going to fall from grace, mostly because he is the number 2 running back. Everyone's probably going to say, well, no shit. And yeah, I get it, but he's my number 2 because of that.
So yeah, I never really truly liked Drake that much, so I'm good with this. So my number 2 is a running back as well. I'm going with David Montgomery at number 2. I am just completely. People are going to hate me, I think, on today's list.
You're going hard on him.
So David Montgomery finished last year as the number 6 running back, and it was boosted by a late season cupcake run defense schedule, and that's exactly what happened. I talked about this about a month ago, probably, on our do not draft list. I want to say, because I went over what his schedule was like, and it was poor. It was a bad run defense that he just got to play. He played decent against, like Green Bay, Detroit, Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville, and Green Bay. Again, they weren't good run defenses. None of them were, and a lot of them were bottom of the league defenses. Like I think Detroit, Minnesota, Jacksonville were all way, way down the list. And so yeah, of course he did good. He played some terrible, terrible run defenses. What do you think's going to happen? And this year, though, he gets to have Andy Dalton as his quarterback, so that's going to really help him a lot, right? I mean, the Bears are they just trying to suck? Like what's the point? Let's go get Andy Dalton as our number 1. Like, okay, we've seen that before. Think of what Andy Dalton did with what. Look how Dak Prescott looked with those weapons in Dallas, and look what Andy Dalton looked like with those weapons in Dallas. A little different.
Yeah, he was a little rusty, to say the
Andy
least.
Dalton doesn't have Dallas-like weapons in Chicago there. He has Allen Robinson, who's good, and he has David Montgomery, who's average. He's not Zeke. He's average. He's just another guy.
I don't know. Zeke looked kind of average.
Zeke's getting there. Zeke's getting there. Feels like he's already fallen off. But David Montgomery, I just honestly, truly don't believe David Montgomery is a very good running back. I think he's an average, okay NFL running back, and that's about it.
I agree with you at that point. I don't think he's elite. But the thing I did say is, hey, I'm not ready to say Montgomery, I'm off of him. And I said, what happens if they don't get a primetime quarterback? What happens if they don't improve in quarterback, which I don't believe they did, and they have to run the ball, which I think they will?
Doesn't matter. Teams will stack the box.
And they probably will, but even if they...
I'll tell you what will happen. This is what's going to happen. 13 for 64, 14 for 45, 10 for 27, 10 for 29, 19 for 58, 14 for 48, 14 for 30. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
And he did that last year. So, yeah, there we go.
I agree with him on that one. I just, there's a part of me that 100% agrees with you, and then there's the other part that says, go for the volume. And that's kind of the part of me that I'm like, okay, I'm not ready to write him off.
I don't want this volume.
Yeah, I know. But at this point, he is ranked the 20th running back.
Too rich for my blood.
I get where you're coming from. I really do. If people don't get on the train, which I think he'll probably go up, a few others will go down.
I see David Montgomery going up, actually.
I could see that. So if that happens, I would be completely off. But that's a great one.
Yep. All
All right. So, do you want to just say it together?
All right. Number one, it's going to be James Robinson.
Yeah, 100%. There's no way we can't overlap on this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take that one away.
So James Robinson finished as done this. You'll hear a lot of James Robinson in this offseason, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, and I'm already getting it, and whatever. I don't care. I'm right. You're wrong. So James Robinson was the 7th running back in the league last year, and he would have been higher, honestly, if he played those last 2 games. So it's just, I'm telling you, he's just not, he's not special. I'm telling you, he's just not special. He got all of the carries last year, just all of them.
Well, the 240 out of 281.
They just ran the ball with James Robinson, and honestly, I don't know how he did what he did, because I don't think he was that great. I just think defenses didn't respect him, to be honest, and I don't think they respected James Robinson. They didn't really care, and somehow he did well. I've gone over these numbers before. I don't think it wasn't like spectacular either, right? I think it gets inflated what people thought he did. It gets inflated because he was an undrafted guy who you didn't have to draft, either undrafted in NFL, undrafted in fantasy drafts, most likely.
You want to root for him, and he helped a lot of people win.
Yes, so these people, he did help people win, because when you get a running back off the waiver wire at the beginning of the year and you have him all year, you're just in good shape.
And he was very consistent. I'll give him that. Like he put up points for you without a doubt.
He had some good games, and but it wasn't. I don't know. It just I watched him a bit, and I just didn't get the feeling that this guy is just great and this is going to be a long-term thing. Undrafted running backs, it just doesn't last. You get these flash-in-the-pan guys. That happens. They usually don't last. Who are the guys that have ever lasted? Arian Foster and Priest Holmes. That's it. That's like it, right? That's the list. Those are the only guys that have done it really more than like a year. And it's not even all undrafted guys, but it's either undrafted guys or late-round picks. They don't always, there's just a very few far in between guys that it happens with. And I just don't feel like James Robinson is one of those guys. He's the 1 year guy, like the Alfred Morris guy, who Alfred Morris had one, maybe then he slowed a couple solid years, but he was never a great running back. He just got an opportunity. It changes with Robinson's year. It's a new offense, new coach. We don't even know how that's going to play out. The only reason the guy got the job is because there was, not just because Fournette got cut, then he was still not the guy there. There had to be COVID stuff going on with like Armstead, and Zigbo got hurt, and just gave Robinson an opportunity. He ran with it. He did well. I'm not saying he didn't. He did well. He won people fantasy.
He had
leagues.
A great year. Unbelievable year.
I've just seen this. I've seen running backs be good for a year, and they just get figured out after that. I've seen, Peyton Hillis, Alex Collins, like just we've seen these guys. It just happens. Remember the Broncos would have a guy like this every year. And it was like, it just happens, and I just can't see this sustaining. I know people are saying the offense will be better. You have Trevor Lawrence, right? But yeah, it will be better with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. I don't think that translates to James Robinson. I just don't think this guy is spectacular. And you know what? There's no way Urban Meyer's going to come in here and just run the ball just with James Robinson. That's not happening. It's going to be a whole different ballgame.
They will have another running back that will take carries away from him. And I think with Trevor Lawrence, you're going to see a lot more through the air. They're going to have to score in order to stay in games. Yep. Trevor Lawrence finally gives them that option. Minshew was a lot of fun to watch, but you're also, DJ Chark pretty much just was a non-factor. You got to get him involved. You got to get Chenault involved. You got to do all that stuff. I do not think that they're going to build it around James Robinson. I think he's good, and if they wanted to pound it out with him, I think he could have another year like that. If you're going to give him 240 carries and it's just going to be him, sure. But that team is going to change so drastically. I do not see a world where he gets 240 carries again, and they're not just keying in on him, and there'll be another running back. It's just it's not going to go well for him. And you can see it too. People are kind of hedging their bets already. He is ranked the 19th.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, best fantasy running back. But even that, he will probably go higher than that, because when you're starting to look at him, you're going to be like, okay, who am I going to take? A guy that finished the 7th best, right, or am I going to take DeAndre Swift, which is on a really bad team? I take Swift all day, but there's going to be a ton of people that take Robinson, and there's a few more names above that. Joe Mixon didn't have a great year. He's above it. Josh Jacobs, you can make the argument that, Drake is going to be there. He's going to be spelling him. He's going to go down. Eckler was hurt. Yep. All of these things, right? There's a lot of guys above him that I can see
He's going to get
there's gonna
drafted
be-
higher. There's going to be like
without doubt, and
I feel
people
like-
love him right now.
Yeah, there's going to be a player or two in each league that loves this guy and wants to get this guy.
And you're gonna see the highest rank right now is 13th, which in my mind is crazy.
Yeah.
But I can understand that thinking, and there's gonna be a lot more people that think that way.
I think so too.
So I'm 100% on that one. I think he's gonna fall. I don't want him to. I mean, I'm not rooting against the guy.
I am.
But
Sorry, I kind of am at this point.
yeah, well,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, James.
I would like
I'm
to be
sorry.
right, but
and
yeah.
it's only for my own selfish reasons because I've just gone out on this limb now, and I need to be right. So you need to suck.
Yeah,
So,
and I still think he'll be the lead back. Like if something happens in the draft where they get a very talented running back, I can't imagine them doing this. But if they did, this would hurt his stock even more. This is assuming he is the number one guy there, by a large portion.
I mean, I definitely could be wrong here. I just feel like I've seen this story before, and I know how it plays out. And
The odds are not with him.
it's just not the odds are definitely not with him. And maybe he becomes Arian Foster. Maybe even if he's Priest Holmes only did it for like 2 years, so 3 years.
But
Priest Holmes
phenomenal.
was a pretty amazing couple of years.
And let's be honest, like I
he's not that level.
liked watching James Robinson, but he's not Arian Foster.
He's not.
You can tell pretty quickly if you're going to be that special.
He's
I
not
think
that special.
He's a good running back.
Yeah, he's just
solid
not
running back.
That.
Yes.
So.
And anyway.
Yep.
Enough about
All
James
right, that's it. We'll talk about him again, I'm sure.
Yeah,
as we get
unfortunately.
hate mail. And if you didn't agree with this take, let me hear it. I don't care.
Who knows? Maybe Urban really loves the guy.
He could. Maybe that's why he took the Jacksonville job. It was all because of James Robinson, not because they were going to draft him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. All right, that'll do it for our Fall Off Players episode. Talk to you guys next time.